This episode is a shout out to all the students and all the individuals that I've met along the way on their spiritual journey, doing their spiritual awakening jam, waking up their intuition, honing it, and they're kind and they're compassionate and they're empathic. And they most likely have been involved with or are involved with a narcissist. It's a really tough topic, but I'm going to jump into it today because narcissism truly does affect your intuition. I'm going to talk about how it affects it, what we can do about it, a little bit about what narcissism is. We're going to sprinkle some other stuff in there. Hopefully, this episode will leave you feeling stronger, understanding a little bit more about the dynamics around you and what you can do. There is so much to cover. I'm gonna keep it condensed into what I want to focus on today, which is how narcissism shuts down intuition and what you can do about it. But when it comes to narcissism, there is so much out there. But you know what else? You know what else? This has been making me grateful lately. There's a lot of information coming to the surface about narcissism, and it's really important. It's really important people keep talking about it because narcissism is insidious and many times it's hidden, and people who suffer narcissistic abuse really struggle, and there's a lot of isolation to it. So the more we talk about it, the more we talk about stuff, the more people can find the support that they need, get recognized, be seen, and get help. So narcissism is a big one, but we're going to talk about some of the things to look for when it comes to narcissism, because many times people are in a relationship and it's happening and they're not necessarily very aware that it's happening. And then I'll leave you with tools. I always do. We gotta support somehow and be like, hey, try this, try this. That's how it works. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. And this is a channel that is all about raising the spiritual vibration, helping people through their spiritual awakenings, helping people to hone their intuition. And if you've landed on this and your ears are perked up and you're sitting there thinking, wow, I think this applies to one of my intuitive blocks. I love these synchronicities. It's just so great. So it wouldn't surprise me at all. Welcome to the channel. Do me a favor and do the clickety clickety thing, trying to build the channel to raise awareness, to raise the vibration. So, like, subscribe, comment, do something like that. Share it with a friend. For those that have been with me for a while, hello. Welcome back, friend. Good to see you. All right, let's jump in. When it comes to narcissism, I'll start with my experience. I was raised by a pretty hardcore narcissistic parent. I would put her in probably a different category of mental illness, but in that deeper category of mental illness, narcissism was a daily side effect, we could say. And I'm an only child. She also did a very good job at isolating me as well. And I mean, I lived in like 19, 20 different houses by the time I was 18, and there's no military in my family. So I struggled with friendships. I struggled with really, I didn't learn how to be normal. I learned how to be on guard. I learned how to be in fight or flight. For example, instead of every time I would leave the house, your mom says, I love you, every time I would leave the house, my mom would say, billboards. And what billboards meant was, be careful what you say to people, because anything you say to anyone, imagine that they put it up on a giant billboard for the world to see. That was her tool to keep me isolated and quiet. And it wasn't even to stay in this cycle. I was a kid. This was my mom. This is, I didn't know anything different from that. So I grow up, 18, 19, 20. I'm still in direct communication with her almost every single day. And I had a good year or two in college where I had some distance, but I then stepped right on into my marriage. And I only knew one way to be loved, which was, if I'm good and I behave and I make the other person feel good, then I'm a good person and then I'm worthy of love. But I have to be doing all of that, because if I hurt anyone's feelings or if I say something wrong, then I'm not worthy of love. This is the playbook for narcissism. So I went into the exact kind of same pattern with my marriage. I'll be direct about it. And I was about 27 or 28 when I when when we went into marriage therapy, and I was like, something's wrong with him. And because I was starting to get really fed up, we had been married for like 5, 6 years. And the therapist said, what if you, Bo, go into group therapy? And I was like, me? There's nothing wrong with me, because I didn't know any different. And I said, fine, I'll do it. And I was in group therapy with 3 or 4 other, I'm going to call them angels, 3 or 4 other people who absolutely changed my life. That was just such a huge launching pad to be able to share what my life was like openly and not be judged, and have these people say, that's not okay. Have you thought of this? It was just the most healing, wonderful thing. And then a couple of years later, I got, my first like really close friend, and, adult friend. And she has been my best friend ever since. Um, and things just kept getting better and better and better. And as they kept getting better and better, I started to see the things that I didn't want to live with anymore. And eventually, the 20-year marriage ended. And here I am today. For me, the way that I move through difficult things is I learn about them. I learn everything I possibly can learn. So, learned a bunch about narcissism. Here I am today. Here are some of the things that I know, and these are going to move into how it blocks your intuition. When it comes to a narcissist, they literally do not have empathy. So I'm going to take this moment to really kind of challenge people. People can sometimes be quick to call someone a narcissist if they're just a jerk, because you can just be a jerk and it doesn't make you a narcissist. You can just have a, bad delivery or whatever, and it doesn't necessarily make you a narcissist. If a person truly, sincerely feels pain if they hurt you, if it makes them feel bad that they did something that affected you in a negative way, person's probably not a narcissist. Narcissists truly do lack empathy. They don't understand why they should feel bad. Narcissists can get very good, though, at knowing what that should look like and knowing that that's how they should behave. So it's very, very tricky. But their brain chemistry, I'm not going to touch too much on this because not a scientist in this field, not a therapist in this field, but their brain chemistry, their patterns, their programming, I'll say it that way, is not around empathy. It's not around that. It's around them. It's they don't see anyone else. Everything is through the lens of themselves and how it should happen for them. Now, here's the other thing. And this is what's going to lead into why it's difficult for other people to recognize a narcissist. Narcissists pick 1 or maybe 2 victims at a time. And to everyone else, they are just the greatest person. Oh, it's just the greatest. I can't tell you how many people have been like, your mom is just the best. I'm like, yeah. Narcissists know that their behavior is not cool. And they know that they'll be judged if people saw that behavior. So almost all of that behavior is done behind closed doors. You can even have children in the house that are, older children in the house, and they might not even know what's going on because it's done very strategically. So a lot of times people don't recognize a narcissist, and even if hints of narcissism come out, it's tough because if you are an empath and you care about others, and it would break your heart if you ever did something to hurt someone else, you're going to struggle with trying to understand why narcissists can do what they can do and continue to do it. It's hard to conceptualize. It even can go so far sometimes as people don't recognize it because nobody would do that, because they wouldn't do that. And so when we're looking at the world through our own lens, it's hard to conceptualize that a person could repeatedly and over long periods of time psychologically hurt another individual. You can't even conceptualize it. If you're kind hearted, you just can't, it's hard for you to understand. So when a victim of narcissism expresses a story to someone who's either never experienced it and or is an empath and a very compassionate person, it can be hard for that person to, I mean, sometimes even believe some of this stuff. Well, nobody would say that. Why would they say that? Yeah, they would. So this is difficult, and then that leads into, can you change them? Again, not a therapist, but my personal belief and everything that I've learned over the years is no. At best, they could identify with it within themselves, recognize it, acknowledge it, and practice empathy in order to have a healthy relationship. I guess that's a possibility. It's a very, very small piece. When it comes to being in a narcissistic relationship and trying to get out of it, here's one of the many reasons why it's difficult. It's difficult because the empath is with the narcissist. The narcissist has spent a long time training the empath to feel bad if they hurt the narcissist. And so the empath starts to walk on eggshells, and they don't want to hurt anybody. So the empath has two choices. They can set their boundary with the narcissist and say, we're done, and get out and be done. Or they can try to fix the narcissist. Which one of those feels better to an empath trying to fix the narcissist? Because it's the nice thing to do. I'm going to try to help them. Also, by trying to fix them, it's going to help me avoid having to hurt a person, because I'm really going to hurt them when I cut them out. And they've made that very clear. So you learn and that don't do this because you might hurt me. And then if you do this, then I'll think you love me. So this pattern happens for a very long time. And then the empath is looking at, well, I think they're a really good person, and I could change them. I could teach them. I could help them. And no one is going to change unless they want to. And a narcissistic pattern is a pretty solid pattern. It's a pretty solid pattern. There is a reward they get by stirring that pot. If that person was going to want to be a better person, they would have been working on it. They would have been working on it. And then the empath says, well, he is working on it now. And I understand that. That's the ebb and the flow. What I say to people that are going through this process, because I have experience, and I say to people that are going through this process, write yourself a note. Write yourself a note and count the days. Count how long. So you had the fight, and you're pushing back, and they say, I'll change, I'll do better. And then they do. They start doing better. They do the things that they think will keep you. Write yourself a note to say, this happened. He said on this date he would do better, only if it's safe to write that note, because in some situations, a narcissistic relationship is dangerous. And look at that letter every single day and count the days. Count the days and witness and pay attention to when the behavior goes right back into the old behavior. What that says is that's how long they think you need to be wooed again to stay. But there's no intent to change. So we watch that pattern a number of times, and you start to recognize that pattern. That is also helpful in setting boundaries. Let's connect this into why it blocks intuition. Let's talk about the empath. When it comes to being in that situation over time, because they love bomb you. They're like, oh, you're the best thing that's ever happened to me in the entire world, and you're all this in a bag of chips, and it feels so good. So you get into the relationship, and then that slowly starts to turn, and then you end up walking on eggshells because you don't want to make them mad, because the time that you made them mad before was really bad, and that was no fun. So here we are walking on eggshells. Another way to say walking on eggshells is being in fight or flight survival mode. You are thinking about everything that happened in the past to make sure it doesn't happen to you again in the future. So your attention is on the past and the future in order to survive in the now. But you're not in the now, you're not in the moment. And intuition is in the moment. Thinking about the past, thinking about the future is very human. It's very programming mind. It's very physical body kind of survival type mode. And being intuitive is being in the moment. So that's one big reason. When we are constantly in survival mode, we are not in a relaxed enough state with our nervous system to let our intuition flow. Number one, we need to do anything we can to get you in the moment. And we're going to do a couple of things. Now, these things aren't going to be quick fixes, but they're going to get you stronger and more often in the moment instead of thinking a survival, tactic in the past or in the future or how do I stay safe? We're going to get you in the moment. Number one, GCP. If you've been following me, you know what it is. Hang on for a second while I tell the new listeners. GCP is a practice. It's called Ground Clear Protect. And while we've heard about these components, it's a powerful practice. It's quick and it's free. It's simple and it is an absolute game changer. It levels you up dramatically. What I want you to do is I want you to look for the link. I've got almost everywhere I put this link to the free training video on this because I want everyone to use this. It is so simple, but yet so huge. If you've used GCP and you've seen results, please post a comment to let people know, to encourage them. If you haven't used GCP, do like a 7-day trial of it, right? Just do it for 7 days and then see what you think. But in this case specifically, when you're suffering from narcissistic abuse, or I'm going to say it this way, because sometimes we're not aware that we are suffering from it because that's part of the programming. Or if you're in a relationship and you feel like you're never right, you're walking on eggshells, you're exhausted, that they never do really anything kind for you. They're never really worried about you. And these are the things that you're struggling with. We're going to start with the first one here is GCP, Ground Clear Protect. It's going to anchor you into Mother Earth. It's going to release and clear away a lot of the negative energy that is being pounded into your energetic system every day if you're in one of these relationships. And it's going to set up a protective bubble to help shield you from receiving so much of it. Here's why GCP works really well in this particular case. Because GCP itself, it does this beautiful thing where it helps us to stop reacting and instead start responding. Energetically, when someone yells at you, your energetic body feels the anger before your ears ever hear the yell. We are energetic beings. We experience everything energetically first. This is why when you walk into a room, you know there's been a fight in here. You don't know how, but you know people are mad. And even if you're not looking at them, you can feel it. You can sense it. Your energy senses everything first. When we do GCP and we put a bubble around our energy and say, only my highest good is allowed into this space, into my energy, things that are not good for you, things that are not for your highest good, will energetically come at you, and your intent has stopped them from coming into your energetic space. As a result, guess what? You see that intent way more clearly. It's a different lens. You're now in the moment, energies come at you, and you're now looking at it going, that's interesting. Why would you say that? That's mean. And so instead of being constantly trying to be on top of everything and panic, we do Ground Clear Protect. The energy comes at us again. We see it differently this time. Now, might not be the first day you do GCP, but in a couple of days, you're going to start to get clarity that you didn't have before. Does it solve everything? No. Let's throw a couple more things in here because it's important not only to take care of your own energetic system to get yourself into the moment, but to start setting boundaries. We don't even really need to go into that. We all know what setting boundaries is about. It's very difficult to do, but you can do it. It takes time, and when you're ready, you will do it. But we need to heal your nervous system. because when your nervous system is stressed out, it's really hard to get in the moment. And again, in the moment is where the intuition is. So that grounding technique does help balance that nervous system as well. If you can get your bare feet on the ground, even for 5 minutes a day, I know sometimes it's like snow, and I get it. So maybe 10 seconds. But if you can get your bare feet on the ground just once a day, that's going to help tremendously too. The grounding technique there, I think it's called earthing. It is really, really, really good for your nervous system. And then lastly, I would say breath work. Breath work works really well. It's convenient. It's easy. You can do it in the car. You can do it when you're in the bathroom. Breath work is going to help relax that nervous system. The nervous system relaxes. Our ground clear protect practice helps us to see things with a more clear lens. And all of these things are going to come together in a way that we're going to start to get the clarity that we need. And we're going to start to have the ability to move forward in the direction that really is best for us. Breath work, I'm going to throw one out there quickly. The box breathing is golden. I love it. Box breathing, if you haven't heard of it, breathe in for 4 counts, hold it for 4 counts, breathe out for 4 counts, and then hold it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a great technique. Do it for like a minute or 2 if you can, and you will start to feel the relaxation happening. So in order, this is what I would advise to get yourself back into the moment, to get yourself back into your intuition, because once you get back into that centered moment and your intuition can speak more loudly to you, you're going to get the guidance that you're so desperately looking for. I know, I've been there. But in order, I would say GCP, put your bare feet on the ground once a day, and box breathing. Those are the things that are going to help you move forward with it. You're going to have a new lens to look through, whole lot more clarity, and you'll be able to navigate this with just a little bit more ease. Also, take care of yourself. Please make sure you're taking care of yourself. Okay. Great topic, hard topic, but thank you for being here with me today. And I'll see you next week.
This podcast is brought to you by the SAGE Method, the most comprehensive and down-to-earth intuitive development training available. Is this your year? Is it finally your time to increase your intuition, bring in more abundance, and experience the bliss you deserve? If yes, then join thousands of students across the world for a 7-week journey to uncover your natural, beautiful, and strong intuition. Visit us at thesagemethod.com for more information.